Welcome to She Did Her Best, a podcast where perfection is overrated and life's messy moments are our best stories, celebrating the moms who did what they could and two friends who've been figuring out the rest together for over 20 years.
Hey there, I'm Ashley, journeying through life with a sense of humor and a lot of experiences, but no kids of my own.
I'm Kayla, a mom who's balancing her career as I approach the final years of raising children. Ashley and I have been navigating this crazy world side by side for 2 decades, and we've got some stories to tell.
We're back.
Okay, let's start it off. What did you do this week to do your best?
TBH, right now I'm living my best life. And I know I said this last time, but like I really am. And to get through this week, honestly, I was dealing with a sick boss the whole week and he was a big whiny baby. Anybody who has a male boss probably knows that when they get sick, they get real whiny. But then I kept telling him I don't feel bad for you because he wasn't like doing his electrolytes and his vitamins and he wasn't eating. So I was like, get your shit together, bro.
Yeah, sorry about it.
Not sorry. Not sorry. Fair. So, but other than that, like I'm here chilling, like really living my best life.
Good for you.
Yeah. It's like simple. I'm poor. It's great. So other than that, it's nice.
Yeah, I get it.
Just a little bit of weed every day gets me by, man. Yeah. Like I realize I need less and less the older I get.
Yeah.
Even though it's nice to like have fun things and do nice things every once in a while, but like I don't need more things.
Sure.
Like my plants bring me a lot more joy than a lot of things in life.
The plant addiction.
I know. And I went to Trader Joe's today and I did not get a plant.
Oh, look at you winning.
That's a good win.
Winning for the week.
That's doing my best this week is I did not purchase another plant.
Love it. Good for you.
Yeah. What did you do this week?
What did I do to do my best this week? Well, sometimes we just get in our feels. And I was definitely in my feels today this week and had a little bit of, some fun self-loathing, but, I think I just needed to kind of get that out and give those feelings attention and, attention that it deserves. And whatever that feeling is like kind of trying to get through that and, being okay with like laying in my bed and crying for a couple hours and then getting myself out of it. Right. It's like identifying the things that can get myself out of it. Not that it's easy, not that I'm 100% back to normal today, but I think just doing the best to just get by right now and like that being enough.
Yeah.
So
girl, get it.
Yeah. Sometimes life is just hard for no reason.
Yeah. And it's like, we were kind of talking about this earlier, but you were saying it was more of a culmination of things.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an atom bomb went off.
No.
This week. It was just like one thing Monday, one thing Tuesday, 3 things Wednesday, 4 things Friday. Like it just...
And then like being busy at work and, doing things around the house or whatever it is, like being, just having extra things to do and taking the kids places and worrying about them and having doctor's appointments even. Right. Like sometimes it's just overwhelming.
Yeah. And it's
like, it's not though, right? Like it's normal life. Like this is normal life. It shouldn't be overwhelming, but sometimes it feels very overwhelming.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's what makes us appreciate those really good days even more.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like dealing with a shitty week. And then you're like, next week, you're going to have a great week. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be a great week.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, fuck, last week was terrible. This week was so great.
Yeah.
And you're going out of town.
Yeah.
This week. So like it's automatically better.
Yeah, totally.
Because your senioritis will get to play itself out at the end of the week.
And have a little break.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Way better.
So we all deal with it and that's okay.
Yeah.
You are not alone.
No, and sometimes
it feels very, very, very lonely.
Yeah. I'm sure it can feel very isolating,
but you're not like everybody goes through it. It's just how you deal with it. It's just how you express it and how you expose it.
Yeah. Like is Mercury in retrograde or I heard it's like Gemini season, which I don't know what that means, but
it means crazy bitches like me because I'm a Gemini.
Maybe that's why you're like having a rough time and I'm over here just chilling.
Living your best life.
Yeah, living my best life. Okay. All right, boo boo. So I want to talk about step parenting.
Yeah, we've actually had a few people reach out to us about like interest in hearing my story, and just kind of how we feel about that topic. So I thought it would be a good time to have that conversation.
Well, and two, we have very different viewpoints. Because I had a stepmom growing up.
Yeah.
Who was not anywhere near as great as you are. And of course, I only see the perspective of I'm not getting the, the punishment or whatever. But you have been very open.
Yeah.
This whole time about your struggles and how you've tried to deal with them. And granted, sometimes you also have no problem saying, fuck, I messed up.
Yeah, totally.
I definitely did the wrong thing today. I definitely said the wrong thing. I did whatever. And I know that kills you every time you do, but
I think that's not just specific to step parenting either.
No.
Right. I think that's specific to parenting in general.
Yeah.
You're not perfect and you're learning as your child's growing, especially you have your first child or every child is different, right? Every personality is different. And so learning as you go, and sometimes you lay in bed at night and you're like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that. Or I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's just figuring it out as you go.
Well, and I think you just hope to raise kids that are
contributing members to society.
Yeah. Contributing members to society, and that they can hold their own.
Yeah.
I think that's all parents want for their kids. Again, I'm not a parent. I don't fucking know, but
yeah, totally.
I know that's my mom used to say that all I want you to be is a contributing member of society.
Yeah. Dan,
you have a job.
Yeah.
Taxes.
Dan tells the kids that all the time. Or he tells me that, I just want my kids to be contributing members to society.
Yeah.
That's it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. So I have some questions for you, and then I may actually rebut it and say this was my experience with it.
I love it.
Granted, I have not spent any significant amount of time with my stepmom in the greater part of the last decade. So she's gone through some stuff that may have changed her, but I'm not willing to even open up that door. So okay. So for you, just to recap, I want everybody to know your parenting situation. So you've got Eliana.
Yeah. Okay. So, our family dynamic is super unique. My husband and I started dating when my daughter was, I want to say 2 months old.
Yeah. Infant.
Yes. Infant. My husband and I have known each other though since high school. So we've been friends. We maintained a friendship, and then, we started dating, when I was about that age, and had Eliana. Her biological father is not in the picture, has never met Eliana. We're very open about it. We definitely have conversations about it.
He knows about her.
He
just has never had contact with her.
Correct.
Okay.
They've emailed.
I just want to make sure you don't get the, oh my God, he doesn't even give him a chance.
No,
he fucking knew.
No. Yeah. he knew. The first few months, or maybe even the first year, to be honest with you, I definitely tried. I reached out to him a few times and, asked if he wanted to see her, if he wanted to come out and visit her, things like that. And he didn't really have any interest. It wasn't any argument or anything of that nature either. It just was what it was. Right. So I definitely tried. Right.
Yeah.
And then I think as Eliana got a little bit older, she had more questions. And so I asked her if she wanted to email him, because I didn't want text messages or phone numbers and stuff. And so I think she was I want to say 10 at the time. And so it was obviously very monitored, and they emailed a couple times back and forth, and then she kind of just didn't bring it up anymore. And so it's up to her, right? If she wants to have a relationship, I would absolutely support her in doing that and helping guide her to do that. But if she doesn't, then I'm not going to pressure her either, right? That's her choice at this point in her life.
Yeah.
And
she's 14. She's old enough to make that decision for herself.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it could always change.
Yeah. And so a couple years ago when she was 13, she decided that she wanted Dan, my husband, to adopt her. And so about a year ago, he officially legally adopted Eliana.
Yay!
So, yeah.
And I was there for that.
Yeah, you were there. You were present in the courtroom.
Yeah. I'm like, it's kind of, they spoke so nicely. Yeah. Like it was weird. It was a courtroom.
Yeah, totally.
Because they were just like, we're joining these families today. And I was like, this is the US government? Like, what is happening right now? And like, everybody seemed like really excited.
Yeah.
You know, which was really nice and refreshing to have because the last time I was in court was for a speeding ticket. And they're like, you're going to have this fine, you know? And I'm like, it was nice. It was like a nice, refreshing reminder that humanity is still human.
Yes, exactly. So that was very special. And like, to be clear, Eliana has always called Dan her dad. Like there's never, ever been any question about that. And so we just made it legally official.
Yeah.
Especially like, honestly, for me, like if something were to ever happen to me before he officially adopted her, like she would want to live with him.
Yes.
And he would have zero legal rights over that.
Correct.
So like, I wanted to make sure that just in case anything were to happen to me, that she was, taken care of, obviously.
Yeah.
So anyways, so that's kind of Eliana's story. And
then you got your 2 bonus children.
Yeah, I have our 2 bonus children.
And how old?
I won't say their names, but our oldest is, oh my gosh, 21, 22.
Yeah, right around there.
And then the youngest is 18 and just graduated high school.
And you've had them since they were
7 and 3. Yeah.
So when I joined their life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very young. Obviously the oldest was a little bit older, being 7, but, when I first started dating my husband, he had them, gosh, I think it was like, one overnight, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that, like pick up after school, drop off at school. And that was it. And then like every other weekend or something. And it was like Saturday to Sunday. And that's like considered a infant or like toddler schedule.
Yeah.
Because when they're younger, they need to be with their mom, right? Like especially if you're nursing or whatever, you know, I get it. Like, it's different. So, when we first started dating a couple years in, I can't remember who it was, but anyways, we went back to court and, got our schedule changed. And
was this before or after you guys were married?
This was before we were married.
Okay. Just trying to like set up a timeline.
Yeah. This was before 2016 when we got married. So we went to court for that. Got more time. I can't honestly, it like all blurs together. I can't remember what changed. We went back again at some point, like after we got married and essentially got like 50-50 custody. So we were on what they call a 5-2-2-5, which is, every other weekend, Friday to Monday. And then like one of the parents had Monday, Tuesday, and one of the parents had Wednesday, Thursday as like their permanent days. And then every other weekend was like Friday after school to Monday drop off.
So that's how the 5 days came in.
Yeah. So it's like 5-2-2-5. So yeah, because you would have them for 5 days in a row when it was your weekend. So, which is kind of nice, right? Like, because you get to spend more time with them. When it's not your weekend, you only get to see them for 2 days that week. So that kind of sucks. But so we had that schedule for a while. And then I didn't realize this was going to be so hard to talk about. We actually got taken back to court. Oh God. And
multiple times.
Yeah. But the like one of the last ones was, God, I want to say 2017, 2018, 2019. I don't know, somewhere in there. And taken back to court for like, she was trying to get more child support from us. And essentially the judge said that like, it wasn't worth it. Like we would be paying her like $45 a month or something like that. And they won't like make judgments under $100. And so we, at that time, she was asking for that. And then, I can't remember exactly what happened. Oh, and I think she wanted to try and get full custody, something of that nature. And so unfortunately it's like, we always walked on eggshells the entire time.
Yeah.
And because we were always so scared, like of making the wrong move or like saying the wrong thing, especially me, like I was definitely scared of saying the wrong thing to them all the time. And like when we were going through custody battles, which was like 75% of the time before 2019 that we were together, it was so stressful. But yeah, we got essentially like what ended up happening is full custody because of some things that came up from her end. And I don't want to like divulge every little detail because don't know how much like my stepkids know. And I don't think it's like appropriate for them to, I don't know. Anyways, so, you know, unfortunately she made bad decisions and the judge recognized that. And, you know, we were going through what they call a TI process, which is a therapeutic interventionist. And so they essentially are doing a psychological investigation on everybody. And so we wouldn't have therapy appointments. Like the boys would have them individually. We would have them together as a family. They would have them together as a family with their mom. We would all be together. So like there was multiple different things that Dan and the kid's mom went through like psychological evaluations and like got all these psychological tests.
I mean, it took months for all this.
Months.
If not a year, right?
Months. Yeah. And like our therapeutic interventionist was interesting because like she had the right to like make orders essentially on our case and based on her investigation. And so there were a few things that like she made into an order that like their mom would just not do and not agree with and just like try and argue about. And then, you know, then we have to get our lawyers involved and then it costs more money. And it's like just this ever evolving ending cycle. But what ended up happening is after all of that, we got full custody of them. She had to do a few things, like had, you know, some stipulations for about a year, only had about a 3-hour visitation with them a week.
Was it supervised?
No, it was never supervised, but it was like at the beginning, like no overnights at all.
Yeah.
And this is when our oldest was
graduating.
No, he was like a sophomore, junior in high school. I think he was a junior in high school. It was 2019. Yeah, he was a junior because it was 2019. And our youngest was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
They were mad. The kids were really, really, really mad. And it was, you know, we took the blame for everything. But anyways, you know, we got through all of that. You know, they went to therapy for a very long time, like once a week, family therapies and things of that nature. And
do you feel like it helped them?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
That's fair.
I feel like there was just and is so much false narratives put into their mind that I don't feel comfortable. And I don't think Dan feels comfortable at this point, even though they're both technically adults, is like telling them these full truths because unfortunately, like we have receipts
right.
and proof. And like, I mean, I've been berated and called like a fat piece of shit cow, like that should never, you know, like I've been treated very, very poorly and essentially have kept my mouth shut. There have absolutely been times where I'm like, oh shit, I definitely should have said that, but I was so pissed.
Yeah.
And again, I was 22 years old when I came into these kids' lives.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
I mean, I just had a baby and like, I was learning that. And, you know, now with a 7 and a 3-year-old, I'm like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, our oldest moved out the day he turned 18 and we essentially haven't talked to him since. And then his youngest graduated high school last month and he's still living with us. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, every day is a new adventure. It's still a work in progress and I still like struggle with figuring it out. And again, like always making sure that I say the right thing at the right time. Right. Like,
yeah.
Being careful with what I say.
Do you feel that, like, do you ever feel like you want to reach out to the older one just to like say, I miss you or anything like that? Or you, because it's been how many years that you guys haven't talked to him?
It's been
almost 4
years. Yeah.
Like that's a really long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really long time. And it's,
I know it hurts because I know you talk about it and I know it really hurts that it's like that.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like he was still such a big part of our lives. The other thing that really hurts too is like Eliana misses him like crazy, right? And this isn't she has nothing to do with any of the craziness,
right?
But yeah, like there's part of me that I want to reach out. Right. I want to say, I miss you, or I'm here for you. And, you know, if you're going through a hard time, like I'm absolutely here for you. And I will do, whether we talked yesterday or haven't talked in 10 years, I will always be there for him.
Yeah.
If he reaches out, like that's what unconditional love is. But there's also a side of me that I want to make sure that I'm giving him the space that he requested.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with it or not, that's not my choice.
Right.
He's an adult and he gets to make his own decisions. And then there's again, like a side of me that says, well, what if he's waiting for me to reach out? Right. And what if he in the future is mad that we didn't try
harder?
Right. Yeah. Try harder.
Because I know you guys have reached out to him multiple times.
Yeah, we did in the beginning. And then, you know, once he really cut it off, we respected those boundaries.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in these situations, like it's a lose-lose no matter what you do. But I hope that one day I can explain my reasoning as to why we did what we did.
Yeah.
Or why we didn't do what we didn't do. You know, it was really, really, really hard. Like I said, our youngest graduated last month, and we were at his graduation. And after he walked the stage, my mother-in-law and I went to the restroom. And as we were walking to the restroom, I saw him in person. And that was the first time I had physically seen him in person since the day I gave him a hug and he left my house.
Yeah.
To say it wasn't hard to turn around and like go up to him and give him a hug is like a huge understatement. And again, I was with my mother-in-law and I pointed him out to her because she hadn't seen him. And
because to be clear, he hasn't spoken to anybody
in our family.
Correct. Yeah. It's not just you and Dan.
No,
it's grandma, grandpa,
it's everybody. Yeah. And so she did go up to him and give him a hug. And so that was really great. But yeah, I mean, he's an adult and I respect his boundaries. I understand he didn't have the easiest childhood, and being a child of a divided house, and not just a divided house, but a very volatilely divided house.
Yeah.
Like his parents hated each other. I mean, hate each other, not even hated. And so I can understand how that's hard, because no matter what, at the end of the day, these children are half of their parents and half of both of their parents.
Yeah.
And so if one talks bad about the other, not saying either of them did, but if that occurs, they feel like something's wrong with them, because that is half of them. That is a part of them. And so I think that, you know, although things may not have been said directly to them, I think they felt that hostility and that like tension between them.
I'm sure they did. I
imagine that is very difficult to grow up with. I was fortunate enough to have parents that stayed together until I was of an older age, but so I don't know what that's like. And so I can't say that I know what that's like, but I imagine that that's very, very chaotic in a young adolescent, especially a boy's brain.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sure it is, especially because like you always expect the kids to stay with the mom, right? Even though the mom may not be the better choice. And I think boys need their moms in order to be good boys. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like they need their moms to learn how to be nurturing and caring. Mm-hmm. Not that dads don't instill that, but it's more of a motherly trait.
Sure.
I feel like if you've got a good man, it's probably because of his mom. It could have been because his mom was crazy, and he learned the hard way, or it could have been because she was loving and nurturing and did all the right things. And if she wasn't loving and nurturing and did all the right things, then it's even harder.
It's difficult. And the other thing too is like, I didn't have brothers, so I didn't know what it was like to have like little boys around, right? Like I had no clue what it was like to deal with boys. And, you know, my mother-in-law and I had a lot of these conversations about raising boys, and she's very protective over her boys. And like, I see that, you know, as a mom and like a mom with boys, like it's not different. It's not the right word, but you know, it's mama boy. And when you're a mom of a daughter, sometimes you butt heads a lot. And so it's just different, right? Like
it's a different kind of relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I used to joke I joke, but it's real. My mom loved my brother more than me because I confronted her. And my brother would always just say, okay, mom, you know, like whatever she needed. Challenged her. Yeah. And I challenged her, but also I know that having me was because I found a journal after she passed, and it was something along the lines of like, what's your biggest inspiration and like biggest inspiration and biggest complication? And she's like, my daughter. And then the other one, my daughter. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like, and I know that she needed me to challenge her because she was that kind of person. And I'm that kind of person. Like, this is why you're in my life, because you're my challenger. Like you always are like, yes, girl, do that. I support you, you know, like business adventure like this. You were like, I'm in, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And not everybody, not even in our girl group was all down for it.
Right.
So I don't know. It's crazy to think about it like that.
Yeah. The dynamics of how like, that can change. And honestly, like I don't even think it's gender related either. Right. Like not necessarily, but it's just personalities too, you know?
Yes.
And what's going on in your life at that time, at what age, right? Like all of these things play into each other.
Yeah.
What you see, right? Like, you know, for example, kids of divorced parents, like, were you born 10 years before they got divorced, or were you born a year before they got divorced? Well, you're going to see very different things, very different dynamics of your parents, right? Like, so there's it's just different things of what happens in your life and who you get close to based on those events. So it just depends, I think.
And see, like one of the big differences with you and I is your parents got divorced later. Mine got divorced very young.
Right.
So I was used to going to my dad's every weekend, starting from 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like it was very early on. Yeah. Because my brother was 2 years and a couple months younger than me. So my brother was really, really young. So I don't think he remembers a lot of the fights and the hostility. And like, I can still like see certain scenes of this house and how like some arguments played out and some scenes played out, but also like how like good things that happened in that house. But like, I think he was just too young to get it.
Yeah.
And so I'm lucky. I love that for him because I remember it all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great. So, and my parents could never have a conversation on the phone up until my mom died. They never had a civil conversation that I can recall ever until like after I turned 18. And even then they never were in the same room.
Yeah. That's same over here with my husband.
And it was always my mom's fault. My mom was she would instigate, she would initiate, she would go straight for the jugular. And my brother's dad would just go right back at her. And like, it happened 5 minutes ago. Yeah. And then like they hadn't spoken in 10 years, you know, like it was crazy.
Like they turned back into like these teenagers.
Yes. Immature fighting teenagers. And I'm like, you guys are fucking 50 years old. Get over that shit. Like, let it go.
That's how
Why
I feel.
are you so angry?
Yeah.
Why are you so angry? But
I mean, I, you know, from experience, I get the anger. Like I see it, like I feel it sometimes still. Right. Like, yeah, I definitely get that perspective, but I don't think it's worth it because of what it does
to your body,
what it does to your kids.
Yeah. But like just the shit it's doing to your own body to hold on to stuff like that.
Yes.
And then if you know it's doing that shit to your body, you know, it's affecting every other person around you.
Yeah. You're holding on to that anger.
Yeah. Like let it go.
It's not.
Let it go.
Worth it.
It's not worth those wrinkles, the high cortisol. It's not worth the heart attack.
Yeah.
You know, like it's that's just, I feel like as I've gotten older, that's one thing that I cannot hold on to anymore. Like I don't want to expel that kind of energy on something that minuscule and shitty.
Yeah, totally.
So like, I'm like, okay, well, let it go. But I've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
I've never reproduced with somebody and then it was over because it was bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can only imagine.
Yeah. And
the deep feelings that are there.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, for me, like same, right? Because in a way, I was really lucky that Eliana's dad didn't want to be a part of anything.
Yeah.
Because I could do whatever I wanted
with her.
I didn't have to go through this.
You didn't have to ask him to take her on vacation. Yeah. You didn't have to ask for her to get a passport. You didn't have to ask and have his signature for school shit. Like, correct. Yeah, no, girl.
So in that way, I feel very blessed. And, you know, she had a dad, right? Like she had a father.
Yeah. Who was very present.
Very. And, you know, and I don't know what it's like to be a child of divorced parents. I did eventually, but it was very different circumstances. I mean, my parents were still friends, you know, like it wasn't, was my mom very upset and emotional? Fucking 100%. But, you know, at the end of the day, they both still loved each other.
And they were still in the same room until your mom passed.
Yes, exactly.
They could be in the same room and it wasn't that weird.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that weird.
Sometimes it got weird because your mom made bad choices, but that was on your mom.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
She made it weird for not just him, but everybody else.
Jesus Christ.
Same though. My mom did that shit too.
Yeah. And so like, I don't know what that's like. And so I think like being a step parent, it was very difficult for me to relate to on an emotional level to all of those things. It was exhausting at times because the end of the day, if my husband and I ever got divorced, especially in the early years, like I could never talk to them ever again. Yeah. Right. Like, but I'm pouring everything into them as I would my own daughter. Right. Yeah. And emotionally, financially, time, like everything. Right. And that was really hard. Like, I think I held a lot of resentment for that for a really long time. And like I said, I was always so scared to like ask them to do things.
Yeah. But what was the worst they were going to say? No.
Right. So I'll tell you a story of what happened. This was the worst day of being a stepmother.
Oh, honey.
Oh, honey. So the youngest, I can't remember what exactly happened or how it came about, but essentially I asked somebody to do something. Somebody didn't want to do something, whatever. That it's normal. Like kids do that.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to.
I'll do it later. No, you won't. Yeah, I will. No, you won't.
So that whole conversation turned into, I'm not doing that. You're not my mom. You're not a part of that. You're not even a part of this family. To my face. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and he was how old?
Oh God. I want to say
little.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little.
He didn't understand what he was saying.
No. But when I tell you, I was destroyed. So back then I worked at night and my husband had a regular job. And so I watched the kids a lot, like during the day and like, especially like break, summer, whatever. And so I was home alone with them. And as soon as that happened, I literally went in my room, went in my closet, locked all the doors and cried hysterically. And I never, because like I have never had somebody that like I could love so much that could hate me so much back.
Yeah.
Again, like I know it wasn't hate, right? That's how it felt in the moment. Yes, correct. And because it was always, family or like really great friends or whatever, but oh my God, just horrendous. Yeah. And I just remember telling my husband, like, you need to come home right now. I cannot do this. Like, I can't do this. I can't handle it. And I think he did, but it was awful. And that's as bad as it really got. But Yeah, that felt really bad.
I'm sure.
And you know,
especially because you already had 6 years with him up to this point.
Right. Like
the greater part of 6 years.
Yeah. And I think too, like I didn't realize, right? Because I still had a very young child. Listen, kids are going to say, I hate you. Kids are going to say, you're annoying, whatever. They're going to say, your own children are going to tell you these things.
Yeah, it's normal.
And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And so that is just their way of saying those things in their own way.
Right.
And it wasn't because of who I am or what I was to them. It's just those emotions.
Right.
Right. And I didn't know that or realize that. And that's okay. But yeah, like
you weren't emotionally mature at 26 years old.
Yeah, no.
27 years old.
I wasn't there yet.
What? I wasn't emotionally mature until I went through years of therapy after my mom died.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was really hard. Really hard. It was really funny. One of the times we were in court, I definitely think like the kids definitely had their mom's side more than ours for sure. But not that I'm asking them to pick a side. Like that's not what I'm saying, but they had sent their mom some picture. I had this like little, I don't know, kind of like a sign, right? But it like kind of like a pencil holder and it like held things and it was wood, but it had a saying on the front of the wood. And it's supposed to be like a fork and knife holder or spoon, utensil holder. And it said, spooning leads to forking on it, which is hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Let's taking that picture and send it to their mom. And
oh my God,
the therapeutic interventionist like got it. And, they were saying, oh, well, they have this and it's around our children and, whatever. So it was so petty. It was so petty, like so petty.
Yeah.
Like those little
and you had to go to therapy for that.
Yes. Like it just so petty.
Yeah.
So when I say like, I felt like I had to watch what I said at all times. It was, I was genuinely afraid of getting my own child taken away, right? Because of something that they said that was misinterpreted and she misinterpreted whatever.
Right.
Like this isn't just about my husband's kids. It's about my child as well, which is like obviously my main priority.
Yeah.
So yeah, at times it got scary. Step parenting ain't easy, especially when the parents don't get along.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't think my stepmom ever watched what she said. Based on what she was saying to us. Like, I don't think she ever cared about what she said, and she didn't care who she was hurting. She didn't care that it was hurting us. She didn't care that it could cause like long-term repercussions for us.
Yeah.
And then that side of the family wonders why I don't speak to her.
What did she say?
I remember, so this is a story a lot of people don't know, but my mom was in a coma for 6 months, a medically induced coma because her appendix burst at home and they couldn't figure it out despite doing multiple imagings and testing and all that sort of thing. It took them 3 days in a hospital and her going into a coma for them to realize that her appendix burst at home. And so she ended up being on life support for 6 months. And then one day she just decided she wanted to wake up. So
welcome back.
Yeah, literally. So if we do the other episode first, the Mother's Day one, I didn't talk about this because this was a really hard time in my life. I was in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. I was in a private school from 1st to 8th grade, and I knew everybody my grade and higher, because we all interacted. Like there was only 25 or 30 to 35 kids in each grade in each classroom, because each classroom was one grade. So like I had the same teacher all day long, 7th and 8th grade, because I didn't go to a middle school. So until the very end of my 8th grade year, but I had to move schools in the middle of the year because it happened in October.
Like out of the private school?
Yes. This is the version of the story that I know. Do I know if this is correct? I don't know. I can't verify it anymore. I mean, I probably could, but it'd probably be skewed. But the rumor is that my brother's dad, who paid child support for me, I did not know he wasn't my father until I was 16 years old. So keep that in mind as I'm telling this story. His parents came to visit from Ohio and told him, like, you have to get those kids. Their mother's in a coma. You need to be taking care of those kids.
Who was taking care of you at this time?
My stepdad. my wonderful, amazing Daryl. And I'm not going to lie. I know it was really hard for him because he was with my mom every single day. He never missed one day. Those 6 months my mom was in the hospital, never missed one day ever. He would work from there. He would bring like the whole staff. He would like, cause the old school Macayos downtown Phoenix, my mom was at this long-term care center, and he would literally order like huge amounts of food for the nursing staff once a week, just because they let him stay there as long as he wanted. They never kicked him out. Nursing hours didn't apply to him. And he always took care of them, but he was there. Plus he also has a business he was running. He's had the same business since the 80s.
Yeah.
So he had to like be a boss and a husband, and his kids were grown enough that they were late teens at this point, if not early 20s. So they were fine.
Yeah.
My brother and I in 4th and 6th grade were not fine. So, and we had to, we commuted like 25, 30 minutes to school. So we grew up on 67th Avenue and Baseline, and we went to school on Priest and Hardy.
Yeah, that's far.
So yeah. So anybody who knows the Valley knows that ain't close. But we went to this. Yeah. So I remember the day he came and picked us up from school. I remember saying goodbye to all my friends, bawling my eyes out. Cause I was going from having my own room, my own friends, my own life, to sharing a room with my stepsister, who was only 3 months younger than me. So gratefully we were similar in age, but we had not similar personalities, interests, likes. She was completely opposite of me.
Yeah.
So there's that. So my grandparents came into town and pretty much told him, you have to get those kids. You should be responsible for them. So that's how it ended up happening. And if I remember right, she had already been in the hospital for at least a month.
Oh, wow.
By this time.
Yeah.
So like word had gotten around, but my grandmother, my mother's mother, and my dad's mother grew up in the same town. They all knew each other. So she was alerting the masses that her daughter was in the hospital and everybody needs to pray for her. And that was the kind of lady my grandma was. And she always wanted to get her church involved. And, we'll do this. And I'm like, great on you, grandma, for getting your church involved. But like, she also was like, like the news.
Alerting the news.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how they found out. But I don't know if this story is 100% true. So part of me hopes it's not, but it might be. So moving in, my stepmom was already not nice to us. Like she never went out of her way to be nice.
When you would go for your normal visits.
Yeah, our weekends.
Yeah.
She was never like out of her way, super nice. And if she wanted something from us, or she was fake about it. And you can tell she was fake about it. And it like, I knew this young. I'm like, bitch, I see through you. Just because I'm a child doesn't mean you need to talk to me like I'm an asshole. I remember her saying, yeah, since you guys have moved in, I've now had to get on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication because you guys are stressing me the fuck out. And I'm like, the fuck, bitch? My mom is in a coma. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, come. And of course I fucking bawled my eyes out.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember calling my friends. I would literally sneak into our closet and like, cause we had our own phone line and we had one of those clear phones that lit up.
Oh yeah.
I remember sneaking in the closet every single night and calling my friends and just crying and being like, I miss you. I hate this school. I hate these people. Like it was terrible.
What middle school did you end up going to?
So I was still technically it was elementary because it was 6th grade. Okay. So we moved to Desert Sage Elementary School because I was the oldest of all the kids. So my 2 stepsisters were already there. My brother went into 4th grade and I went into 6th. And I just remember like, I don't remember anything except for like being there. I don't remember learning anything. I don't remember people's faces. There was like a couple faces that have come by here and there that I don't recall, but I feel like my body blacked out that time of my life.
Yeah.
Just because it was so traumatic.
And you weren't there very long.
Yeah, we were there. I think it ended up being about 6 months, maybe less, 5 months. But I remember moving back during the summer. So we'd only been there for like that one half of the year. It was just shit like that. She used to say, and like every time holidays, birthdays, stuff would come around, there would always be like, oh, but I got you guys something else to her girls, like right in front of Matt and I.
Oh, gross.
And I'm like, come on. Like, you don't need to, well, they get presents from somebody else. So we might as well give you guys more presents. I'm like, so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's the worst. She is the worst. So it was just stupid shit like that I had to endure for many, many, many years. And finally, when they moved to Florida, I was like, thank fucking God I don't have to see her anymore.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen her, spoken to her since she moved.
Wow. How old were you when they moved to Florida?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. Yeah, right around there. So probably it was January 1st of either 2018 or 2019 that they moved, I want to say, right around there. And we knew they were moving. It was fine. Like they wanted to retire and get on with their lives. Cause my stepmom retired from the postal service.
Yeah.
Like your dad.
Like my dad.
And my dad had retired from his company. He was staying on as like a consultant, like once a month. He would get on a couple of Zoom calls, but he was retired.
Right.
So, and they've since moved to like 4 different parts of Florida. It's crazy, but I just remember her not being nice. And like every time we did chores on the weekends, Matt and I were there for fucking 48 hours and she would make us do just as many chores as the other kids, the other 2 girls. We would do like dog poop, sweeping and mopping. Like the whole house was fucking clean after we cleaned every weekend.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, why are we even coming here? And I remember complaining to my mom about it. I remember her complaining to my dad about it. And pretty much it kept going until we stopped going. But thankfully he didn't push us going longer than we wanted to.
Yeah. Once we got the boys on that 5225 and obviously they were older, we had a rotating chore chart, but we also were splitting the time. It wasn't just every other weekend.
Right.
And their chores were literally,
taking out the trash,
take the trash out, do the dishes, pick up dog poop. And then like once a month, I made them like strip their sheets so I could wash.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? It wasn't anything crazy. And then, picking up their bathroom. They all had to like share picking up the bathroom because they shared a bathroom.
Keep your shit clean. But it was always like that with us too. That didn't bother me. It was like the whole house cleaning of chores to do when I'm here for 48 hours every other weekend.
So all I'm doing at your house on the weekend is cleaning.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it didn't feel like quality time.
Right.
So I was like, I don't want to go anymore. My mom's like, okay.
Yeah.
Great. And as soon as I got a car, I didn't go anymore. So 16, I was done.
Yeah.
It just sucks because I feel like my dad and I could have had a much different relationship because we were very, very close when I was little.
Yeah.
He used to call Matt and I itchy and scratchy. I was itchy. And if anybody's old enough to know that cartoon, but it was like, I just feel like we could have had such a much closer relationship now. So now I might get some flack for this, but now I'm waiting for her to die. So I can have a relationship with my dad again.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it. Like she's one of those people that sucks all the energy out of me. And I didn't know this until I was an adult, that every time I was around her, I was anxious, walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
And I literally couldn't rest because I always felt like there was going to be another ball that was going to drop. But also a huge part of all this my dad and stepmom loved to drink. Like they drank a lot growing up. And every weekend they were plastered. Like they would have roadies in the car of our mint green Nissan Quest.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? And they had like those big tumblers and they would drink all day, every day. They would drive with us in the car. My mom did the same shit though. My only sane parent was my stepdad.
Yeah.
My only sane and safe parent.
Yeah. Totally.
Because all the rest of them, and like they were smoking cigarettes and drinking and man, my dad used to be so much fun, but now I know he was so much fun because he was drunk. But you know what? Nothing ever happened to us. He locked us out of his truck once or twice and had to break a back window once or twice. But
I cannot. But
it's like stuff like that. Like, thankfully, nothing ever happened. But man, it fucking could have. So, stepmomming.
Yeah. What else you got for me?
Okay. So tell me how the dynamic has been in your relationship with your husband.
Oh, that's a good question.
Whew. So let me preface this by saying, I know Kayla and Dan have been through a lot with all this, and all these years that they've been going through all this shit. Kayla thankfully has been able to talk to us, and we've kind of helped her, but we also have not been in this situation. So we're just here to listen, really. I know that it took a toll in multiple parts, especially during the parts where there was a lot of, like, I feel like you guys are so much more calm now, but when you guys were in and out of court, all of those years, I can only imagine, because I could feel the stress coming from you guys. And I didn't know that then. I know that now because you're so much more calm and chill. Yeah. But like then, so I just want to know like what it was doing to you and Dan.
Yeah, I think, so a couple different things. I think first, to just kind of like set the stage, the kids were, all three of them, in sports.
Yes.
They were
in school and out of school.
In school, out of school sports. We were living in Gilbert. We were driving to Chandler for the older two to go to school and to do all their sports. I was working nights at some of the years. Eliana has always done sports. So it was always in something. So like we were also very busy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so there's also that like normal having younger kids, all at the same time and all doing things at the same time. Right. So there's that dynamic, as well, but layering on the stress of what it is to have an ongoing court battle. It was fucking hard on our relationship. I tell people a lot, most of the time when you first start dating somebody, it's like rainbows and butterflies and everything's
honeymoon
so fun.
Season.
And it's honeymoon and
blah,
blah, blah. It was the opposite for Dan and I. Like, I'm not sure why we kept dating, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Dad ass girl.
I guess something like that.
Definitely dad ass.
So like, it was hard, right? Because we like just blended this family. Also, when I first started dating my husband, I wasn't working.
Oh yeah.
So there was that too. Like, he just took on this child and this lady. So my husband likes to joke that I showed up on his doorstep with a baby in a car seat and said, "Hey, come save me.
Can I come live here?"
Yeah. But yeah, like, as far as, our relationship, it was not ever easy. I think there were times where, at least for me, I was like, oh my God, is this even worth it? Because it was fucking hard. Like, and the difference of like being a parent and being a step parent is like, I'm making this choice to be in this situation.
Yeah.
And I have zero regrets, right? Like,
of course,
truly, I have zero regrets. But I, in the midst of all this chaos, it's like, I'm choosing to deal with all this. What the fuck am I thinking? Like,
why am I here again? Is it the dick?
Is it the dick?
Is it good enough anymore? Right. But is it this good? Fuck.
Literally. No, but seriously. So like the beginning of our relationship was very difficult, but now it's like, now I feel like we're in our honeymoon stage. But, through the midst of everything, like we started dating in 2010. We started couples therapy in 2013, and did that for a long time. Up until about a year ago, we were consistently going, in the beginning, like once a week and then like once a month. And then we kind of slowed down. And if I truly believe, like, if we wouldn't have had that, I don't know if we would have made it, because not just that, but like we were also both very young.
Yeah.
Like I was 22 years old.
That lack of emotional maturity.
Yeah. And he was 26.
Yeah. And we know they're slower than we are. Yeah.
So it's, like we had all of those things, but, specifically with the kids, there was a lot of, I think, frustration from Dan about, and we talked about this so much in therapy of like me I have earned the right to be able to tell the kids what to do. And I never felt comfortable to really do that. Just little things like, hey, can you do your chores? Can you do your chores? Like, I truly did not feel comfortable to hound the kids about things. There were certain times where I did. And, you know, I did feel comfortable asking them to do things, but it was like this thing that I had that it would literally put my heart in my throat. Like, I felt so uncomfortable being an authority figure to them at times.
Because you were just trying to be accepted.
I was trying to be accepted. Correct. Yeah. I didn't want them to hate me.
Yeah.
I'm sure for Dan, that's frustrating as a parent because he wants a partner.
Sure.
Right. But at the same time, he doesn't fucking understand what it's like to be a step parent either because he gets to just parent Eliana.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to step
she was a baby.
Correct.
She doesn't know anybody else.
And she doesn't go to somebody else's house.
Correct.
They have a mother.
Yeah.
I don't need to be their mother.
Yep.
And so that dynamic was very difficult for us because he wanted me to. And he was okay with me doing that, right? Like that's sometimes that's a difficult thing too. Like sometimes the birth parent doesn't want their spouse to.
That can be another issue. Yeah.
But he wanted me to, you know, then just going through court and like just having to be meticulous about everything. And, you know, my husband, he's funny because he tells me I'm not detail oriented. His ass ain't fucking detail oriented. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, because, you know, yes, we're paying for a lawyer, but we're also trying to save as much money as possible and do a lot of these things on our own. And so just like everything had to be documented. Everything had to be tracked. Everything had to be on a calendar. Everything had to be like very well thought out. And this is before AI to write you emails, to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to have zero emotion. Right. And so I really kind of went into the situation very tactically, and helped from that perspective of like getting things together, making sure our calendars were aligned, making sure the communication was good, making sure all of these things were good. And I think at certain points, like, you know, Eliana was so young. I think I neglected looking at her sometimes because this other thing is like a red alarm system going off and she's like, fine.
Yeah.
So that would be frustrating on our relationship. But yeah, I mean, I think up until like maybe 2 or 3, 4 years ago, we were constantly walking on eggshells. I would have anxiety every time we would get an email from our attorney, just all of those things. And now it's just, I did what I could do with what I had because they're both adults.
Yeah.
And we both did what we could do. And that part is over. Like, I don't have to deal with her anymore.
Right.
We don't have to deal with her anymore.
Correct.
And
thankfully,
now it's just our relationship with our children, and they get to determine how they want that relationship to be.
Yeah. So. And I think it's great that you're offering them that option and respecting their boundaries. Because I feel like some parents may not do that because, oh, well, it's my kid. They should. And I was like, yeah, but they're still a human and they still get to make their own decisions.
And also, like, what I've learned is everybody has their own story and none of those stories are wrong.
Right.
Because that was your experience. And if your experience is different than my experience, that's okay. I respect that. And I believe you. And if that hurt you, whatever it is, I apologize. You know, like any human should say this, but I think you have to also acknowledge, like, even though you feel like you did everything you could, or you felt like as much as possible, you did what was right. They could perceive it a very different way.
Yeah. The
difference of being able to have a relationship is recognizing that and not saying that they're wrong about those feelings in that story. Because that was their experience.
Yeah.
And their perception.
Yep.
And everybody's perception is reality.
Yeah. Is their reality.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So along with that, do you feel like with your relationship with your husband, do you feel like you guys fought a lot about that in particular? Or do you think that it was like mitigated more because you guys were already seeing somebody about that?
I think the therapy also definitely helped us not deal with that, but like deal with our communication, which in turn helped with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were definitely a lot of arguments over anything to do with the kids in general, specifically like when we were in the midst of like court battles and stuff. And I think honestly, more so because of me. and my like insecurities or self-consciousness about like what was happening. Because also, again, very illogical, but as a woman, your husband is dedicating so much time to battling their ex. So it feels like, again, illogical, that they are giving them attention. So as a partner, it's like, you're giving all this attention to this woman that you supposedly fucking hate.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're over here.
Yeah.
You know, again, totally illogical. That's not what was happening.
Right.
Like he was fighting for his children.
But again, this was
it's a feeling.
Yeah,
it's
this
my
is
reality.
what you were going through.
Exactly.
And the feelings that were going through your body and your head.
Yeah. And so I think that though it was a lot of me and my insecurities and like what was happening and how I was handling it and how I felt and what my place was in the family too. Like what was my place? So
like, were you afraid to step into that authoritative, like your authoritative self fully as like the woman of the house?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So did you feel like you leaned on him a lot more?
Yes.
During those times to do like the disciplinary action and
yes, 100%. Okay. And I think for him, as a parent, he's like, I married somebody. I want a partner to do this, but I did not feel comfortable doing it at all whatsoever.
Okay.
And there were times where I did, right? Like, of don't get me wrong, but most of the time I did not feel comfortable doing it.
Kayla, that's really big of you to admit that it was your own insecurities that caused 100%. A lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this just goes to show like how far you've come. Because I've known you longer than that. So it doesn't make a difference for me because I feel like I'm here to follow you and to support you. Like whatever direction you go, like, I'm just going to be there. I'll be like, hey, I'm in the back seat. I'm ready to go. Beep, beep, bitch. Like, let's do this. And this is something we've never really talked about much either, because full transparency, when I was dating, I purposely never dated anybody with kids because of the shit you were going through.
I love that for you.
I went through as a child of a step parent who didn't like me.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll tell you what, being a step parent is not for the fucking faint of heart.
Oh, for sure not.
And to be clear, and I said this probably a year into dating my husband, if we ever break up or ever get a divorce, I will never, swear to God up in heaven, all of the things, I will never date another man who has children under 20 or
living in the house.
Correct.
Ain't no 40-year-old virgin happening.
I'm done.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Again, I would not change anything.
Of course.
Of what I've gone through and what I've done, but it is fucking hard.
Yeah. And I'm like, for real, like a lot of it was because thankfully you were very open with us and like you were really, because you needed support in those moments. Yeah. And I'm like, damn. And every time, oh, well, I got a baby, blah, blah. Nope. Don't care how hot you are, what kind of job you have. Like, I don't care if you are Jesus incarnate. I'm not dating you if you have kids because I don't want to deal with your crazy baby mama who I know is still around.
And even if they don't seem crazy, they're still fucking crazy. Exactly. We're all crazy.
Exactly.
Something's going to happen.
A person. You grew and birthed a person. Of course, you're going to be crazy about that person and what that person does.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
Like that makes all the sense in the world to me.
Absolutely. I can't imagine what I would be as a dealing with it if my daughter had a stepmother involved. I'd be fucking crazy.
Right. Oh, I can only imagine.
Fucking talk to
There were a lot of those HR emails that Amy is fucking stupendous at writing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I just, we've never talked about this because I didn't want to, I don't know, make you question what you did or how you did it because I have no idea what I would have done in any of those situations because I've never been in them.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I wanted to do this as like an episode because A, we had a couple requests for it, but also B, like I was actually very curious where your mindset was in some of this stuff, because I know it was really hard on you based on what you were telling us, but also like we weren't here.
Yeah.
We weren't seeing day to day. We weren't hearing all of the intricate details. It was like, hey guys, had to go to fucking court again today. Fuck me in the asshole. And this is what happened. And this is, the outcome, so it was little things like that where we couldn't like dive into the deep questions, but I really was curious about what it did with you and Dan.
Yeah.
Because you guys do feel like you're in a different place now.
I also, absolutely. And I also think that at the end of the day, we would not be as good as we are today if it weren't through all that bullshit.
Oh, for sure.
Because we fucking had to fight for our relationship.
Yeah.
Like when we first started going to therapy, and I know this isn't like allowed, but our therapist like would cry because she's like, you guys love each other so much and the world is against you. The entire world is against you. We have a blended family. We have a bad dynamic. We have Dan's blended family. I have a crazy fucking mom. Like there were so many things fighting against us.
Yeah.
That like we had to fucking fight for it. It wasn't just like, it didn't just come and was laid in our lap. We had to fight to stay together. And I think through that fight, it made us emotionally stronger and connected to each other, which is why today, I mean, my husband and I truly, really don't argue that much. We fight, right? Like there's little things that he totally annoys me with. And I know I annoy him with.
Oh, same.
Like, don't get me wrong.
But
nothing
like, it's
is perfect.
nothing like,
but there's not fights
life
for days.
changing.
Yeah. It's
super dramatic. No. drawn out brawl outs, nothing like that. Yeah.
And we know how to communicate with each other. And I think more importantly, to be honest with you, he knows how to deal with me more.
He's just figured out my crazy and how to calm him down. He's like, how do I light the flame? Wait, how do I put out the flame?
Exactly.
Put out the flame.
Yeah. And like, let's be real, like he's calmed down a lot too. Like he's not a young man anymore. And he doesn't he's had to fight with women his whole life.
Right.
Like all he's known is chaos.
Yeah. His mom is a lot.
She can be a lot.
She's wonderful, but she's a lot.
I tell her all the time she's a lot.
I know. That fucking woman cannot take a compliment to save her damn life.
Save her fucking life.
But it's fine. I already got my...
She needs to be on an episode. Sure.
I know. Okay. So the way that you and Dan have figured it out, like it's amazing. But I also remember you saying everything else is less important than my husband's and I relationship. Yes. He and I are number one. I do not put my kids first. I do not put my job first. I do not put anything else first above my husband.
Correct.
And that it took me a minute for that to sink in. And it took me until I got married to like really feel that. Like I would pull away from everybody else, but I know my husband would be right there.
Correct. And I think especially as a parent, everybody says your kids should be your number one priority.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely false. I think it's a false narrative that we create for ourselves to make us feel bigger than to have something bigger than ourselves. The reason why I say this is because if you're not taking care of yourself, you have nothing to give to your children. And if you are not taking care of your relationship, what happens when your children turn 18 and
you
leave
be
the
empty
house?
Nesters and be getting divorced.
Exactly.
Because you don't even know each other anymore.
You only raise children for like 15 to 20% of your life.
Yeah.
And after that, you're left with yourself and you're left with your spouse.
Yeah.
And so that relationship and that foundation always has to be there.
Yeah.
And you have to nurture it. It can't just be going through the flow.
Yeah.
That has to be your priority. And I think when you show your children that and teach them that, whether you have boys or girls, what it does to them is so important too, because it's going to affect their future relationships.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that like my husband and I did this. And granted, there are seasons, right?
Oh yeah.
You have an infant, you have no babysitter. I get it.
Yeah.
It's difficult that, you have a baby that only will nurse, whatever your circumstances are. There's definitely situations where there were years where I don't know if we even went on a date, right?
Yeah.
But it's the season. And I think we just made sure to nurture that relationship. And now today, we enjoy doing nothing together and don't hate each other and like spending time with each other. Like I feel bad sometimes. Like today I went to a brunch with a friend and I was like, I'm leaving my husband on a Saturday all by himself.
I mean, I felt that way going away with Amy just for one night. Like, yeah. I'm like, God, I miss my husband. And I'm like, but get it together.
Yeah.
He'll be there when you get back. And he was there happy to see me. And I'm like, oh yay. Okay.
Right.
But
and I
miss them.
For me too, it's like my husband and I both work from home and see each other 24/7.
That is also true. Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a whole lifetime with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as you get the rest of the kids out of the house, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong.
It's a naked party.
It's a no pants party.
Walk around my house naked finally for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Be great.
It's pretty great. I hope that for you.
It's a bad thing about having boys too.
Also true.
I can't walk around naked.
Speaking of, Katie's already seen me naked twice.
I'm not surprised. And I'm sure you didn't care.
I didn't care. I just stood there and she's like, oh, you're naked. Like comes into my room and I'm standing in front of my fan. Letting my lotion absorb. And I'm like, hey, and looking like Superwoman. And she comes around the corner. Oh my God, you're butt ass naked. And I was like, yeah, girl, what's up? She's like, okay. And like turns around, goes back around the corner. I'm like, we can talk. I'm fine.
She's like, I'm not fine.
She's like,
I'm good.
Well, and the thing is with Katie, she grew up with just her mom.
Yeah.
Her mom was a single mom because her dad was in prison until she was like 20. So it was always just her and her mom. And then when her grandma got sick, she moved in with her grandma. So it was just three of them. She goes, I used to walk around with no pants on all the time. I love that. And I was like, oh, girl, I'm sorry. Chris was ruining it for our vibe for us, but it's fine.
It's fine.
If he's not here, you can be in your underwear. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a very interesting dynamic, the boy girl thing.
Yeah.
Because I know it gets weird, especially with boys and they start asking questions and.
Yeah. Luckily I've never had any of the questions.
Yeah. Because they were old enough by then. They weren't like, what's that? Why does it look different than my mom's? And you're like, what? Sorry. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't.
I was never nude in front of the boys.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
To be clear, everybody.
Yes. You just love yourself a little fongy bathing suit because that donk though.
Well, sorry. My dad's from Brazil.
Yeah.
Like, that's all they wear.
Yeah. Literally.
Not going to change.
No.
So funny.
That's a cultural thing.
My mother-in-law would be like, are you going to wear a more appropriate
I remember.
swimsuit
You're like, no.
in front of the kids. And I'm
no
like,
intention.
No, I'm actually not.
No.
This is my culture.
Trust me, this is more than what they're going to be seeing in a few years. Yeah.
Fucking oppression of the Brazilian womanhood.
Let me put my donk out and it needs a tan too.
My cheeks need to be out.
Yeah. Girl, I support you.
And now let's be real. Like everybody wears.
It's the thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way more acceptable in the US than it used to be.
Yes.
Even 5 years ago.
Yeah. Cause us prude ass Americans.
I cannot.
I can't even.
I can't.
I'm American. But I don't approve. I'm here to be naked.
And it's so great. Like in Brazil, it don't matter your size.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah. You can be 15 or 80
wearing
and be a size 00 or a size 17.
Exactly.
Or 28.
Yeah.
Or 32.
Whatever it is.
And and they don't even care. They got that little tiny string and they be getting it all sorts of tan. I'm good on you, boo-boo.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Prude ass Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Girl, that was good. Thanks for opening up about your...
Of course.
Stepmomhood.
Of course.
And I mean, it definitely ties in with the momhood, but
yeah,
the stepmomhood. That sucks. It was... I didn't realize it was that hard for that many years. You were much... Like, I knew it was hard from the little bit you told us, but like, girl...
I was always busy and high strung and that's why now I just like, I can like,
you're just like, I'm here to throw a party. Come over and hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, and I think for Dan and I too, because we had kids so young, now we get to be young. I know. It's like the opposite for us, you know?
Yeah. And I'm over here like, do I want kids? Yes. No. I wanted a baby yesterday because I went and saw Jessica and her brand spanking new little muffin.
Smelling good.
Oh my God. She smelled amazing. My uterus was throbbing. I got home and I was like, babe, I want a baby. And he's like, we'll see what you say tomorrow. Then today I'm like, I got up, I smoked. I've been high since I woke up this morning. Like, why the fuck do I want a kid? What I want a kid right now? This is great.
Yeah, I know.
Living my best life.
Literally
living my best life. So, still in the fence hood. It's fine. It was great.
Thanks.
As always.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you.
You're a great stepmom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just from what I saw, I can't speak for everybody else. All right, boo-boo.
Just your perspective.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, for next time.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.